JDG Sport 3, another one in a series of videos. It's been a while since the last one, but I thought we'd come back with a video this time. Some of you may, or you should know, that I am the editor of LoveRugbyLeague.com, which was a website that I set up some 13 years ago now, so we're doing a bit of activity on the site at the moment. 13th anniversary type stuff, where I'm looking back at some of the old stories and sort of how the site's changed over the years. So it was suggested to me to do a little video on the 13 years and share a bit of my experience. It's a bit like my baby, I suppose. So yes, that's what this video is going to be about this week. So how did it start? Well, it started in 2005, so I was 17. I was at that time I'd gone on a placement to an agency in Manchester called Fast Web Media. They had a football site called forthegame.com, which was actually the first FA Premier League football website that they rebranded. I thought it was great. I spent a week or two there where I was writing football content every day, and yeah, it was pretty good. I always wanted to be a sports journalist ever since I was 9 or 10 years old, so I was working towards a career in that field, so having that experience was good. And then when I finished the placement, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was a site like this for Rugby League? And I dabbled a little bit in building websites over the past few years before that, so that's how the site started basically. Initially it was called Last Tackle, so we hadlasttackle.co.uk, and eventually we had lasttackle.com, and I got cracking. Back in those days there was no social media, so I guess it was pretty much just me and my dad reading it every day, I think, for the first maybe 6 months or so, but we got there gradually. There's a story going out on the site about how the site's evolved over that time. Initially when we created the site, when I created the site, every page had to be coded individually, so each page was its own HTML page and you had to upload it for FTP. Of course, these days we've got a content management system, so adding articles is really easy. And then I must shout out to Tony Williams as well, who was a Widnes fan like me, who really helped out in certainly the first probably 5 or 6 years of the site. He was, as well as me, contributing written content. And so yeah, it was just get cracking from there really. Contact clubs and try and get my name out there. The whole purpose of the site really was to put me in the shop window for a job after I finished university, and sort of get my name out there. I never really, I think looking back when I started the site, I never really thought that it'd get to this point. So yeah, I wanted to do something when it was the 10 years, but I was just too busy around that time, so it felt good to do one with 13 with the link there with Rugby League. So what was the dream? I discovered an article which I will republish at some point, where I was editing the Widnes Vikings fanzine at the time. Again, another thing that I was doing to get some experience for university, and I think I wrote an article in there where I basically said those things about, yeah, it'd be great to run it full time, great to have an office and establish it as a rugby league. But of course, times were a lot different back then. There was no social media, as I say, websites weren't really that prominent. Everyone in journalism was still trying to figure out how it all worked with websites in terms of the commercial side, and I was no different. And then in 2010 we rebranded the site to Love Rugby League from Last Tackle. My thinking behind that was because Facebook and Twitter had started to grow a little bit by then. When you search for Rugby League on Facebook, we didn't come up because we were called Last Tackle, whereas if we were called Love Rugby League, obviously we'd come up for Rugby League. The name actually came from a tweet that someone said. I was following, it was a Bradford fan, I can't remember his name. I was following him on Twitter, and I seen a tweet that he put out, and he used the hashtag LoveRL, and I thought, oh, that's quite a good brand name. Checked the domains, they were both available, and that's where it was. I was actually in Toulouse at the time, I'd been to Toulouse Widnes, and we decided basically, me and my best friend John, we decided that we'd rebrand the site. John, as part of his university studies, was building a lot of the site, a lot of the development. We decided to rebrand, and we rebranded on Christmas Day 2010, Christmas Day 2010, yeah. So that was that basically enabled us to grow. I think our traffic grew 800% after the rebrand, and it really, that change in the brand, I think, really helped kick the site forward. Some memories, I suppose, from the Last Tackle days is, I remember we used to do the live scores manually, so we used to have someone, a volunteer, whether it be me, John, the number of volunteers that we used to have, and they'd have to be sat at their computer on a Sunday afternoon basically listening to 4 or 5 radio stations, checking other websites. Some clubs were active on Twitter at that time, so of course they had updates. We had people texting in, and we actually prided ourselves on having the quickest live score service. And to say that we did it all manually around that time was a real achievement. There was a few bad moments in the last tackle days. I remember we got hacked one year and the whole site got deleted and I lost everything. So that was about 2008. So there's not really much on the site. I know we've got 35,000 articles or something like that in the system. There's not much before 2010, unfortunately, just because of those issues. And I was going to give it up, I think, in 2008, to be honest, after it got hacked. And it was only actually my girlfriend at the time who sort of encouraged me to carry it on, mainly because it was a bit of a weird situation where I'd told her the day before about the dream, or wouldn't it be great to run this full time, and this is what I want to work towards. And it was her that sort of reminded me of what I'd said and to carry it on. So, and obviously I'm glad I did. So, the idea behind the brand was that we try and sell clothing and other stuff with the brand on, and we did do that for a spell, just to basically have a way of, never had any money to do any marketing or anything like that. So we were thinking that if we had people wearing Love Rugby League hoodies and Love Rugby League t-shirts, then it'd get the brand out there a bit more. Best memories of the 13 years of Love Rugby League, there's quite a few. I suppose the biggest one that maybe a lot of people remember is when we did the Lego season review video. So I'd seen a Lego video, I think it was a rugby union one, and I thought, oh yeah, this would be really good to do a rugby league one. We did it for the 2011 season. I got in touch with an animator. I scripted it, picked 10 moments from the season, still got a bit of grief from certain clubs that weren't mentioned in it. And yeah, the animator, over 3 months, I think I picked some out from the season, and then we did the grand final one quite late, and that was almost like the final clip, and it went massive. Sky ran it, ITV ran it, it was on The Guardian, it was on The Sun, it was great. It was a real sort of the perfect thing really for the site, for Love Rugby League at the time, because it really got our name out there, it got people on the website, and I think a lot of people probably remember that video, and a lot of people do ask, or certainly asked in the first few years afterwards, when are we going to be doing any more. So people always ask you who's the best person you've interviewed, who's the worst person you've interviewed. The best one I always struggle with, it's probably not a topical thing to say, but Scott Moore, I always thought Scott Moore was good to speak to. He was just very down to earth, very realistic. I remember one interview that stands out was with Sam Tompkins, where I'd heard him say something to another. At the media days, if you don't know how they work, is effectively there's almost like a bit of a free mixed zone type situation where anyone can walk up or anyone in the media, I should say, can walk up and interview. So although some media do stuff together, often it's a one-on-one interview. And I remember hearing Sam Tompkins saying something really, really controversial about the top 8 playoffs, as it was. And so then I was sort of hanging around waiting for my turn to interview him, and I heard him say this, and I was thinking, well, blimey, I wish I had that sort of recording. So then I just spent my 5-10 minute interview with him trying to sort of coerce him into saying exactly what he said to someone else that I didn't have recorded to say me again. So I managed to do it in the end, and we actually did pretty well off that story. So yeah, there's been lots of things that you remember over the years, and a lot of really good people and a lot of good interviewees, and a lot of good writers that we've had. We've had quite a few people paid in the office who've been paid writers, and some that have gone on to bigger and better things. We've had people go to Sky Sports, we've had people go to Betfred, we've had people go to clubs in Super League, and that's something that I'm really proud of as well, is that we've been able to give people opportunities here that's then opened the door up for them in other areas. One of the biggest challenges for the site was, of course, making people take it seriously, and not just fans, but our peers as journalists as well. I felt like for a long time people maybe didn't respect what we were doing and what I'd been doing, and I'm grateful now that over the years that people have sort of started taking notice. I think I've tried to make sure the content on the site was of good quality and that we were reliable, and I think that's enabled us to build up that level of trust and that level of authority over the years, that we are professional. And sometimes we get stories that we don't don't run because I want to make sure things remain professional. One communication that's always stood out in my mind was with Chris Radlinski. So I've never actually met Chris, believe it or not, even though obviously he's now quite high powered at Wigan. He sent me an email probably about 2009, I think it was, when the site was still Last Tackle. It wasn't an email, it was just a real positive email saying, well done on the site, keep going, you must love the sport to do what you do. And it was real. I've never forgotten that, to be honest. I've never forgotten that message, that email, because I think as much as you take it on the chin when you get negative comments and you've got to adapt, and to get a positive email, you can probably count on one hand the amount of positive, when the people ever email you something positive. And to have got a message from someone obviously growing up in the 90s and stuff. Obviously Chris Radlinski was a top player in his era, and to get a message from somebody like that was again really humbling, and it's something that I've never forgotten. And I hope that at some point I can shake Chris's hand and say thanks for that, because it's only a small thing, but without doubt little things like that make you keep going and never really give up on what you're trying to do. People say, how did we grow the numbers? And I think we've got 100,000, well, it's frustrating because we've been like 96, 97, 98,000 for what feels like forever, but I just say we've got 100,000. I'd love to get over that line at some point, but the big, I think, tipping point with us on Facebook certainly was the 2013 World Cup, which I really got behind, and that's probably one of the highlights of my career really, is covering that tournament in England. I did, I think I did 23 of the 28 games, and it was just brilliant. I remember, the first game was in Cardiff, so I remember driving down on a Friday and then staying over, and there was the double header at Cardiff, and then staying on the Saturday night and driving back on the Sunday because there was a game at Warrington. It was just great, there was games every night. I remember Monday was at Rochdale, I think Monday was at Rochdale, Tuesday was at Leigh, and then Wednesday was Bristol. I remember working in the office till 3 and then driving to Bristol, and there was hardly anybody there in terms of the media. I think certainly I don't remember there being any northern-based journalists there. Steve Mascott was there because he's everywhere, but a really entertaining match actually, USA Cook Islands I think it was. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed that sort of trip, and the whole tournament really. It was great to be involved and to interview a large number of players, and I think there's a really good picture of me interviewing Billy Slater in a bit of a media scrum after the final at Old Trafford, where I had a real dodgy task because I was doing November. So yeah, lots of great memories from 2013 World Cup. I did sort of say that my aim was to get to Australia for 2017, and I didn't quite manage that, unfortunately, just because of other work commitments. I would love to be able to get down under at some point to, in a working capacity to cover rugby league. So fingers crossed I get the chance to do that at some point in the future. Speaking of the future, I don't want this to sound like it's almost like a farewell video. I mean, the 13th anniversary, but certainly Love Rugby League's not going anywhere, and hopefully it'll last for many more years to come. I look forward to doing one when it's 26 maybe. You may have noticed a few changes this year. Around about this time last year, I agreed a deal to move the site within the Planet Sport network. So Planet Sport runs several sites like Team Talk, Football 365, Planet Rugby, Planet F1, Tennis 365, Cricket 365, Golf 365, you can see a pattern. Not much has changed, to be brutally honest, in terms of how Love Rugby League operates. It's still me, it's still Drew, it's still Lucy, it's still the same people that we've had running the site for years and years. What it does mean is that the commercial side of the site is looked after by them, which is a lot less stressful for me. It means that I can focus on the editorial side. Of course, I only did the site because I wanted to write about rugby, and I wanted to cover rugby, and I wanted to be a sports journalist. I didn't want to be a salesman, I didn't want to be selling adverts, and I think that was one of the things that was really sort of holding me back a little bit, because I was, whatever we spent, I had to recoup. So it was a great move for us to move into Planet Sport, and of course you'll have noticed the improvements in the site, and it really points to a really exciting future, because we've got the resources of the wider network to keep us going. We've got a brilliant live score centre that's going to be launched in time for next season, which I'm really excited about, because I don't think there's anything in rugby league like it. Drew is getting on really well with content. We've got some great people behind the scenes. Always open for new ideas. I'm always, I'm an ideas person, so I'm always looking for ideas for the site. So would love to hear from rugby league fans what they want to see. Feel free to drop me a tweet or comment in the video. Don't forget to like and share this video as well to get it out there. But a final thanks, I guess, for all the people that have read the site over the years. Without you, it'd be it wouldn't be here basically. Like I said, I remember in the early days it was like I had 100 hits in a day. It was like the best day of my life. When it was pretty much just me and my dad and a few other people reading it. So for it to go from that to the point now where we have hundreds of thousands of people every month reading the site, it's brilliant and an achievement that I'm proud of. So thanks for everyone who's tuned in to everything over the years and read stories, downloaded the art, etc. So that's full time for now, but thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.